How's it going? Just a quick video. You know, if you didn't know, I work in the spot market and I call brokers for loads. And I'm not the kind of guy that wants to make 20, 30 phone calls every time I got to book a load. So what I try to do is I try to create relationships with brokers, especially because I like doing a lot of the same thing. You know, and I encourage anybody to find a relationship with the broker that has freight coming out of your house. So every time you need to leave, you got somebody you could call, or have a relationship with a broker that's always got a load that comes home, so you can always get home. And these relationships will help you get stability and consistency, and that's important in the spot market world. You know, we went from $1.63 average to $2.01 average within a 6-month span in the spot market. And with that kind of volatility, it can kind of mess with you a little bit. So I found, now there was one brokerage that had a lot of this one particular load that I take to Ohio out of Springfield, and they don't have the contract anymore. So I've been struggling to find who has that, or if it's on a 3PL. You know, Eric from Trucking and Brokering Podcast, he kind of explained the 3PL thing. So shout out to his channel. Because he's helped me understand the broker side of things a little bit. And the more I understand that side, the more I can probably negotiate and deal with stuff. So there are two kinds of brokers. One that just wants to move the product as cheaply as possible, and then the other one that wants to keep their contracts and create relationships with drivers so they can, because you know, face it, if they want to keep this account, they've got to provide good service. If they provide good service at a reasonable rate, that allows them to keep the contract, because there is a little bit of loyalty in business. So if this broker is showing great customer service to the customer, then, you know, there might be someone that comes in and underbids, and they might even win. But if they underbid too low and they can't provide exceptional service, they'll always come back. I've seen this. I've been out here 10 years. I've seen that. So when I found the broker that had this particular load, now mind you, I used to do these loads for about $1,100. So during COVID world, it was, the rates are pretty low, so I had to be reasonable. So when I called on this load, I did it for $900, and I sold myself to the guy. I said, look, I used to do these all the time. I can provide good service. That delivery time is not so tight because I know I can spend the night at the customer. So doesn't, you know, the delivery times, regardless, I can get that one shot. You know, it's you know, I can provide you good service. He says, like, all right, I'll take you up on that. So, hold on. So, once I completed the load and there was no issues, I called him out and say, hey, you know, thanks for the load, but if you have any more of these, let me know. I live in the area and I do these all the time. So, you know, let's do this, right? He's like, absolutely. So a few days later, he calls me again. Hey, I got another one of those. Do you have tanker endorsement though? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, this one's the tanker endorsement. I said, well, that'll be an extra $100. So now I've got up to $1,000. And for a one day, one shot, that's good money to me, especially since my costs are like less than half that. And so I did a couple of those. Sorry, I keep getting interrupted, and I pause it because traffic or somebody's walking by or whatever. So he calls again. We do another one for $1,000. And then he calls me again. He's like, hey man, I really need someone on this one that picks up tomorrow. I said, well, that's about 140-mile deadhead. I'm not in the area, but I can get to that area. So I'll lose a day, but I can deadhead 140 miles. So can we make it 1,100? Yeah, we can do that. So now I'm doing these loads up to the rate that I used to do them for. So I went from 900 to 1,100. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Here's where a lot of people lose the concept. If another driver comes in and promises to do it for 900 every single time, he's going to win that load for me. It's not like this broker is going to dedicate this to me. You know, I was like, all right, if someone could easily come in and underbid me at times, and he might be motivated to find a cheaper truck. However, my customer service, my willingness to use their tracking app, and knowing the fact that I'm on a first name basis with the people in shipping, because I've been dealing with them for 10 years, because of every company I've driven for has taken freight out of there. Driven for, that's not even a phrase, driven for, sorry. You know, it allows me to know the ins and outs of the shipper, of the receiver, and you know, it's just something I know. I know what my limitations are. So if I ever have a breakdown or a tire blown and I'm late on the load, they know that I'm not full of it because I've always given them exceptional service. Now, they called me, so I'm waiting for them to bring it down, right? So they called me yesterday. They're like, hey, we got another one of those loads, you know, picking up on Friday, deliver Monday. And I'm like, all right, well, if we can do it for 11, we're good. No, we got to be at 9. I'm like, oh, well, I love doing these loads, but you know, I could easily get 12 from other stuff that's in the area, which is true. And he's like, okay, well, hold on. So he comes back. He was like, all right, well, I talked to my account manager. Maybe this load will be Monday to Tuesday. We could do that one for 11. I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. So 5 minutes later, I don't have a Raycon, so he calls me back. It's like, hey, it's actually going to be Friday at 1, pick up, and then deliver Monday morning. Can you still do that? Yep, as long as we're at our same rate. He's like, yep, absolutely. I'm like, cool. So they tried to bring it down a little bit. So now the contest is my customer service worth the extra money that they're paying for this? And that's where the fine line. So I know that if another truck comes in and it's cheaper, they're going to get that load. And I can do it for 900, but I'm going to stay at 11 for as long as I can. Now, if I end up having to take a 9, you know, and every now and then I might come down to 1,000, or you know, every now and then, you know, if rates are really bad, if they crash again, you know, I'll do it for 900 just to kind of, you know, give a little, take a little. Now, some of you may be like, well, why would you do that? That's insane. You know, it shows that I'm willing to work with them and not just take them for every penny, because I guarantee that if I need to be at 12 now, I need to be at 13, you're calling me, I need to be at 14, well, eventually the guy's going to stop calling me, right? So that there's a fine line, there's a fine balance. And, you know, I'd rather deal with that, though, than trying to make 20, 30 phone calls off of the DAT board or the 123 low board, you know, cold calls every single time. And because I'm kind of particular where I go, especially in Riot World, you know, I don't want to be that guy. And my most successful moments here in the spot market have been because of consistency with relationships that I've worked with. You know, we had a guy that was with a major brokerage that was servicing like 4 or 5 of us like trucking guys, and sometimes he gave a little bit, sometimes we gave a little bit. Sometimes we do a load for under, sometimes we did a load for over, but there was a perfect balance. And next thing you know, my revenue went up like 20% each month that I was using this guy. And when I saw that the rates coming down a little bit, because again, we got to keep track, right? Sorry for the noise. I got tired of pausing the video every time a truck passed by. But keeping track, I saw that the rates were coming down. My average rate per mile was coming down a little bit, and it was either because of deadhead or because he was lowering them a little bit. So it's a cat and mouse game for sure. And that's what you have to do. Broker relationship doesn't guarantee you anything other than you've got a phone call or an email that you can make that doesn't require a cold call to a broker that may not give 2 craps about you off the DAT board. So, you know, keeping track and relationships are important. They aren't the be all end all, but they definitely help in the big toolbox to deal with the world that we call the spot market. If you like this video, click like. Hit the thumbs up. If you hate my guts, hit the thumbs down twice. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Hit subscribe if you want more videos like this, because I'm not always live. Sometimes I do this recorded thing. Sometimes I get motivated to do that. And other times, I'll even put some music to some driving stuff. So with that being said, be safe, be good, and be aware. See you.